to USA Climbing's 2025 National Team Trials presented by YETI. We are in Austin, Texas, where the best climbers in the country have come to compete with hopes of making the national team. We're coming to you from Mesa Rim Climbing Center, so if you're in the area, come and check it out. I'm Megan Martin here, joined by Chloe Koskoy. Welcome to the booth.
Thanks for having me, Megan. Psyched to be here.
And we are so psyched to start the Boulder Final, the last round of competition for National Team Trials this week. It was an exciting semifinal round, so we cannot wait to see what these athletes are going to do here tonight. But before we start, we're going to do a quick intro of all the athletes.
So I'm going to ask you the question that I always ask you, and I'm begging you for a good answer. Austin, Texas. Are you ready?
Al's getting the crowd hyped for everybody before these athletes come out. I also like his outfit.
Quite the get up on there. Looks pretty good.
He did not have that for lead finals, so excited to see him ready to, party basically for this final.
It get a pair of those
should be a
pants.
party. I know. Maybe Sienna Kopp can make some for you.
I'm sure she could. Shout out Cece.
Yeah. Wish she was here with us at this comp, but did not compete this weekend. But he's going to get ready to announce those finalists. Remember, we have 8 finalists, a new change with to be in line with the IFSC and what they're going to be doing this year at the World Cup. So here come those athletes, starting out with Ella Fisher. Also was in the lead final and placed second. Annalise Van Hong.
Also was in the lead final.
Yep. Kyra Condi, Maya Madere. Adriana Kiko-Clark, the winner of the lead final. Helen Gillette, Nikaya Sanders, and Melina Costanza, also in the lead final and placed third. Melina Costanza did. Isaac Leff for the men. Xander Waller, Ethan Freudenheim, Vale Everett, saw him in the lead final the other day. Hugo Hoyer. Joshua Gerhardt. I didn't want to get my Gerhardts confused there. Adam Shahar and Ben Hanna.
A lot less tricky overlap, like Boulder lead on the men's side.
Totally. I was going to say it was tricky earlier because Joshua and Luke, when Josh finished, Luke started. And it's just so tricky, especially when you can only see so much of the climbers and that they're siblings, so they look alike. It is definitely hard. But excited to see these athletes get ready to climb, but we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with all of the finals action.
You don't get a fire in your belly with a boring breakfast. You gotta light that sucker up with the good stuff. Kodiak stuff. Whole grains and a whole lot of protein stuff. Eating hearty sets the table for epic days ahead. Dig in and you'll see. It's wild what you and a real Kodiak breakfast can do. Proud sponsor of USA Climbing.
The power of we is all for one. It's all for you. It's always there for you. It completes your circle. It says you've got a team even when you're out there alone. And with Intermountain Health in your circle, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
For me, motivation comes from the chance to go faster and faster. I find speed pretty addicting.
Out here, we play different. We don't play with whistles or referees. We play with adrenaline and euphoria. We play a roughhouse with failure. We don't play games out here.
Welcome back to USA Climbing's 2025 National Team Trials presented by YETI. I'm Megan Martin, joined by Chloe Koskoy. If you paid attention to the feed earlier, you saw her in the semifinal. Again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. How do you feel about the boulders? Did you get to look at them at all?
I didn't get to see too much, just kind of, I think, what was the second boulder, and it looks pretty powerful, definitely really physical, so I'm excited to see how the girls do on that. And then one of the men's boulders as well. A lot of big holds on the wall, so should be exciting. It seems like they've built out the angles quite a bit, putting some volumes, kind of changing up the angles from what we saw in the semifinal, which is cool.
Yep, should be really exciting. And also, apparently we need to be on the lookout for some googly eyes that they put in some of the holds. So that's a fun new little game you can play while we watch these awesome athletes climb. But I think we're going to start with our first two athletes to come out. That'll be Ella Fisher for the women and Isaac Leff for the men. And we're going to get that final going. So 4 boulders, 4 minutes on the clock for the climbers. We're doing a little bit of a different situation here. If you watch the Paris Olympics, it'll be similar to that, where we kind of have this staggered start. So you will see the first 4 athletes climb boulder number 1. And then when that 5th athlete comes out, they'll start on boulder number 1, and that first climber will be climbing on boulder number 2. So we'll have more climbers on the wall than usual in a boulder final, which honestly I think will be really exciting.
Yeah, a little more action on the wall at once, I would say. So definitely a better viewing experience generally, I would say.
I totally agree. Ella Fisher getting right on the wall. So the athletes did have an observation period earlier, 2 minutes per boulder to look at it and talk about it. They couldn't climb anything. They can touch the start holds and kind of chat about what they want to do. So you'll see people get on the wall a little quicker, and that's why we lose that minute of climbing time, as Ella Fisher is making really quick work of women's number 1, as was Isaac Leff, but just kind of fell off there. But Ella looks like she's setting up to go to that finish, but we'll need 2 hands on to get the top.
Yeah, no problems for Ella so far. Let's see if she can figure out how to control the finish hold. Nice.
Nicely done. And this is Ella's first time in a boulder final at a championship event. So we did see her in the lead final where she placed 2nd, but this is her first time in a boulder final. So that has to be really exciting. I mean, can you remember your first boulder final, Chloe?
Oh man, at an open event? Yeah, I can actually. 2019 Bouldering Open Nationals. And I do remember feeling very relaxed, no pressure, no expectations. And in that case, it led to a pretty good performance. So I think that's always a nice position to be in.
You got 2nd or 3rd at that one, right?
2nd, yeah.
Yeah, I'll say that's a good performance.
Yeah, it's fun to kind of come into a final in the last place, having never done that before. Like, she can't do any worse than 8th, and even that, I guess, will be one of her best performances at this level for boulders.
Exactly, and Isaac Leff just undershooting the good part of that finish hold, but clearly knows what to do now, and he should be able to, on his next attempt, kind of fix his decision making up on the end of that boulder problem. Pretty grovelly first boulder for the men, huh?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he tries. Isaac is super good at like complex, kind of weird boulders almost, where you're not super sure right off the bat what to do. He's like super good at kind of staying in it and being patient and sort of figuring it out. So I'm excited to see if he tries something else or sticks to that way. Taking
a little bit of time there to brush the holds. I feel like it's not just for cleaning the hold. Sometimes it is a good way to make yourself rest a little more, especially if, kind of hard to not be so adrenalized and want to get on, especially when you're the only person out on the mats.
Yeah, absolutely. And going from 5 minutes in the quali and the semis round to 4 minutes here, sometimes you do feel a little more rushed because you see the time kind of start to tick down a little faster. So it can be hard to be patient and save some energy.
Yep, and with that, Isaac is back up on the boulder. See if he can execute a little better at the end of this on this attempt.
Will probably be his last try.
Looks like he's in a pretty good position, just needs to get into that little blocked crimp and make sure his hips are high enough to get to a better part of the finish hold this time. Plenty of time, doesn't need to rush it. Oh man, still a little low.
Yeah, wasn't even grabbing any of those holds on the left side, just kind of making his way up that purple volume. Super challenging.
Yeah, I was honestly wondering if he might try to run up one more time. I mean, didn't really have enough time left, but sometimes in the final, I feel like people get on a few more times than you would think they would. Here's a nice replay of Ella Fisher getting a top on women's number 1.
No real problems there at all. I'm curious to see how the other competitors will do on that one.
Yeah, she definitely walked it, and Isaac looked really great on this. I feel like this boulder is quite doable, though I think that finishing move might be a little more awkward than it seems from the ground.
Yeah, the finish move and then also matching the finish I think will be tricky as well. But Xander's super strong. He might be able to make something work here.
Most definitely, and obviously Xander has a lot of experience in these competitions, specifically on the podium many times, second at Nationals in 2024. As Annalise Van Hong also does have a lot of experience. She's kind of newer to the elite circuit, but kind of came in in full force, I would say.
Yeah, she's from the Bay Area, and I am as well, and I kind of grew up climbing alongside her on the youth scene there, and she's been one to look out for quite a long time, always super strong. So it's cool to see her be so successful in her first few years of competing on the elite circuit.
For sure, and I would say I was living in Sacramento at the time, and I remember hearing about her a lot from people, and I'm like, wait till she can do elite, and she has definitely proven to be quite the contender.
Xander making that work on the left side as well.
Yep, just needs to get 2 hands. Nice. Both of them just need to get 2 hands, and it looks like Xander just did it, as did Annalise, and look at that. On to the next group of climbers now.
I think 2 flashes. Didn't see if Xander slipped at the beginning there, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you're right. 2 flashes. Just have to double check the scores. Really nicely done there by Xander Waller. Nice and patient. You called it. Definitely something, a boulder that seemed like he'd be able to get it done pretty quickly, as did Annalise.
Absolutely.
Looking at the women's boulders earlier, this did look like the most straightforward one. I feel like it might be a little, it's pretty easy to read. It's pretty straightforward. There's not too many awkward body positions. There are dual textured holds, but they're pretty manageable.
Yeah.
So it might be a boulder that we see topped a lot of times.
Yeah, I would honestly be surprised if Kyra had much trouble on this one. It seems like right up her wheelhouse. Super strong as well.
Most definitely. So Kyra Condi on the right, Ethan Freudenheim on the left. This is also Ethan's first boulder final at a elite championship event, so always really exciting when that happens.
Also been on the scene a long time, does a lot of speed climbing as well.
I was going to say he was also in the speed final and got eerily close last year at Nationals to making the final. So nice to see him have that progression here and already start with a top. And we are also now seeing another top for Kyra Condi.
No one has fallen so far on the first women's boulder.
Yeah, that we'll have to hope that there's some separation later on. Another quick replay of Ethan Sen, boulder number 1. Love that celebration. You know, I was told one of our judges is actually German, and he was telling me that Freudenheim means joy, home of joy. And I was like, oh, that's so appropriate because I would say that Ethan is a joyous lad.
I've
Wouldn't you?
seen many happy, excited celebration
Yeah.
like that from Ethan.
So fitting, right? And with that, we're moving on to our next two athletes. For the men, Vale Everett, the defending national champion from YETI Nationals in 2024 of last year, and Maya Madare, another very seasoned competitor with plenty of impressive stats. Been in many a final and just out of the lead final the other day, so really psyched to see her make the Boulder final. Also, Austin native.
Yeah.
Hopefully she has some extra people in the crowd here for her. Both athletes already quickly into their attempts of women and men's number one. Vale setting up, just needs to get two hands on the finish here. Great use of that hip flexibility.
Just wants to be patient up there, make sure he finds the right position before he matches. He's doing a good job not rushing it. Oh, there we go.
Yep. And another top. Now it's interesting because we have not seen a lot of tops this weekend actually, but this round's already off to more of a topping start.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I was going to say, I will say that it does look like the boulders do get progressively harder throughout the round, so we'll have to see how that goes as Maya's just trying to figure out what body position she wants to be in order to match this finish, because she definitely does not want to drop it and should be capable of finding a good position. And I think that face says it all.
She's glad she took her time and didn't rush that finish position, because I think in the end she found quite a secure way to match.
Exactly. Another look at Vale Everett's send here of men's number one, taking that time to find the right body position and secure the top, as Maya Madare on women's number one is doing the same here, just being patient. Nobody wants to drop a top. So after that, we are going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with more climbing. So don't go anywhere.
Boulder 2.
You don't get a fire in your belly with a boring breakfast. You gotta light that sucker up with the good stuff. Kodiak stuff. Whole grains and a whole lot of protein stuff. Eating hearty sets the table for epic days ahead. Dig in and you'll see. It's wild what you and a real Kodiak breakfast can do. Proud sponsor of USA Climbing.
The power of we is all for one. It's all for you. It's always there for you. It completes your circle. It says you've got a team even when you're out there alone. And with Intermountain Health in your circle, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
For me, motivation comes from the chance to go faster and faster. I find speed pretty addicting.
Out here. we play different. We don't play with whistles or referees. We play with adrenaline and euphoria. We play roughhouse with failure. We don't play games out here.
Welcome back to USA Climbing's 2025 National Team Trials presented by YETI. We are about to get the first look at the second boulder problem. Those first athletes gonna start climbing on the second. As we continue to bring out our athletes that'll be on the first boulder, your first look at Hugo Hoyer for the men and Adrian Akiko Clark, I don't know why I said that awkwardly, for the women. So now we will have 4 people on the wall, 2 men, 2 women, and we will continue that way until we are done with boulders. Already more tops than we've seen this weekend in general, I feel like, in the first 4 athletes on the first boulders.
Definitely looks harder, though. I think the second and third boulders look like they'll probably take some more attempts, but we'll see.
And we're getting that first look of Ella Fisher on women's number 2 right now as Isaac Leff is quickly making his way through men's number 2. Now this move, when I was talking to the head route setter Jeremy Ho, he was saying that they were going to jump off the 10 into like a palm press on that purple hold, but Isaac has been able to get through it statically, so it'll be interesting to see if we see a more dynamic iteration there.
Flash
but
from Adrian as well.
A top for Isaac and another top for Adrian Akiko Clark. Oh, and again,
coming down.
I was told more of a dynamic paddle to this finish, and I'm loving Ella Fisher's way of the feet first knee bar.
Guys, that was an awesome read. I don't know if I would have seen that, but looks
I
super
wouldn't
efficient.
either. Yeah, it was told to me as more of like a paddle.
Yeah, it looks like otherwise a very like powerful shouldery move, and if you got the core tension, get your feet up, take your hands off.
And that's the beauty of climbing. Even though there's an intended method, the climbers are able to articulate the climbing however they see it and however it works within their wheelhouse. And just like that, Hugo Hoyer is the only one standing on the pads at the moment, trying to figure out how he wants to make his way through men's number 1. Hugo, another athlete that has been in the final many a times, missed out on semis at Nationals, which was kind of a shock, but he was second in 2023 at Nationals and won team trials last year, so the defending champion of team trials. So we'll see if he can make his way back up onto that podium as he tries to finish his first boulder of the round here.
Flashed all the boulders at team trials last year. That was an incredible performance.
I was going to say, I think he wrote that down as like a highlight of his competition career. Which
it was pretty extraordinary to watch.
I was going to say, is quite the highlight.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Isaac will have heard a lot of people doing the first boulder as well, so I'm sure he'll be really happy to have topped the second one so quickly.
Yeah.
Puts him back in the game.
Most definitely, especially with that first boulder for the men being so close to that transit zone area for the athletes, so it's probably pretty easy to hear what's going on there.
Yeah, they'll hear what's going on, people coming back into the zone looking relieved. So
it's always some athletes sit behind the wall with headphones, some don't. What kind of climber are you?
I've got the music so loud that my iPod says to be careful about ear damage.
Wow.
Only for competitions.
I didn't even know that was a setting. So we saw Hugo put a little bit of chalk on his knees. There is kind of that knee bar scum up there, and so with the heat and the humidity here, he probably just wants a little extra friction in case his body's sweating. He doesn't want to be sliding, and I think you can
see that smear there,
yeah,
kind of to the right of that purple thing.
Yeah, so
where his knee was.
He's going to go ahead and go back and choose not to try it. I think, so the athletes, since they've seen the other boulders, they know what might be better suited for them later. Another quick look at the replay of Isaac Leff's top and Adrian Akiko Clark's top.
Yeah, another thing people will do is kind of, if they're bleeding, they'll maybe stick a little bit of chalk on there, try and cover the bleeding a little bit. which you're not super allowed to do, and so it seems like Hugo may have gotten a little bit of blood from his leg on that purple hold.
And speaking of blood, if there is blood, obviously for sanitary reasons, the route setters have to go out and clean the holds. And the way it works is if it's during your climbing time, for example, which it wasn't in that situation, I don't believe, they would have the athlete come back later and do the boulder. So you would continue through the round and just come back to that boulder later. So right now we see head route setter Jeremy Ho taking a moment to clean off the hold there because it's, you know, gotten a little bit of blood from the climbers having to do that knee bar scum. Huge thank you to the route setting crew. They did an incredible job this week. It's a very difficult job. I feel like, you know, it's not only just really physical work, but I feel like mentally it's taxing. They're here super late at night trying to create some really great boulders to test you all on. So
yeah, I feel like they've done a really good job this weekend of like providing and setting a really big variety of boulders and different styles and kind of giving people the opportunity to show what they're good at on the wall. Like there's been hard versions of kind of every style, and so you kind of have opportunities to be like, I'm good at coordination, I can maybe do the coordination, or I'm good at slabs, and not have it be like punishable by missing out on an easier boulder in said round. Like everything has felt like a very consistent difficulty across styles to me, which is cool.
that's awesome, and I've heard that a lot from a lot of the athletes actually, and I'd love to hear that. I think it's important that, you know, you all get a chance to state how thankful you are for the boulders and that you enjoyed the climbing, because that, you know, that's their goal too, is that you're tested and that you enjoy the climbing. And with that, we are back. Helen Gillette on women's number 1, also the defending
Team trials champion from last year.
Exactly. And we have Joshua Gerhardt on men's number 1, his first time in a boulder final at a championship event. And when I say championship event, I'm referring to both national team trials and YETI national championships. Those are the 2 big championship events that USA Climbing hosts throughout the year.
He was looking solid in the compression there. Let's see if Annalise can find that knee bar that Ella found earlier.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And I'm also interested to see
this jump.
If Xander does the jump or if he tries to go with the more static method.
I wonder if they will have talked about kind of climbing down onto the purple thing and then back up. Like Isaac did. Helen topping that first boulder as well.
Yep, really nice.
She'll be, I think, relieved from that one.
Yeah, after hearing the crowd going wild for people on that first boulder. Annalise taking a second to try to reassess what she needs to do here. I like that we saw Xander try the jump. It looks very doable, so I feel like maybe a little more risky, right, to do a dynamic movement, but it doesn't look too crazy, so I think he'll be able to get it done that way.
Yeah, I think it's pretty likely that that's what the climbers will read, and Isaac maybe knew that he was sort of going, kind of finding a different way, maybe from what the setters intended when he climbs down onto the purple one.
Yeah, and it's always different for everyone, right? Like something might just feel a little more comfortable for someone, so they kind of lean into that beta.
Yeah,
see how Annalise approaches this final move.
This jump is probably what the setters were intending. Super powerful.
Woo!
Wow.
Oh man. Oh, wow.
So close.
Yeah, Ella.
That's definitely looking, I think, physically a much harder version than what Ella did, but Ella's super smart, using her technique to her advantage there.
Yeah, that was really cool.
There we go. Jump from Xander.
Nice execution there from Xander Waller, another top. And we got to see the boulder be done another way, which I always love to get that variety from the athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. This wall is definitely steeper than it looks. I feel like it's, the screen never really does the angles justice, but these holds at this angle super powerful, and it's hard to like gauge how long to rest for, because I know for myself I was going a little too fast with my attempts at this angle. It's getting tired more quickly than I thought.
That's a very good point about the angles specifically. And when I was talking to the head route setter Jeremy Ho earlier, he was saying that like this boulder specifically was supposed to be the like more aggressive one in the round. And I feel like the angle does call for a more aggressive boulder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man, that has to be so tiring, too.
Yeah,
And
it takes a lot of skin as well. That's a super textured finish hold.
yeah, and the way he was kind of saying to do that move dynamically was to kind of go with like both hands instead of like
wow.
pausing.
Yeah.
So you want to spend like less time, and so the fact that she's paused on the red, I feel like is kind of changing the trajectory a bit to that finish hold.
I think we'll see a lot of competitors try what Annalise is trying at the end here. I think it's the more like kind of intuitive, natural way to move through that sequence.
Yeah.
But looks very, very powerful, especially in the shoulders. You have to get pretty high up. It looks like a really hard move. But nice to see some harder boulders. The first one's not proving to be too difficult for a lot of the athletes, but they're also super strong, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah. Replay really quickly of Joshua Gerhardt's very quick send of men's number 1. Again, this is his first time in a final at a Boulder national team trials.
No better way to start
right?
an elite final, I don't think. Then flash on your first boulder kind of puts your head in a good place to keep going through the round.
Yeah, speak to that a little bit because, you know, it is nice when you start the round with a send, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like one of the hardest things, but something that we all have experienced as competitors and learn to kind of practice and try to manage is like when you don't have the best start to your round, maybe you feel like you could have done a boulder or you underperformed on the first, second boulder of the round. Like a lot of the times that doesn't mean much in terms of the final result if you're able to kind of bring it back on the third, fourth boulder. But it can be a lot harder going into the third and fourth boulder knowing that you have kind of that extra pressure, having maybe not been super satisfied with your climbing on the first few. So I think that's something that everyone practices is kind of, regardless of how the boulders are going, to be able to kind of move on. And if the first and second boulder haven't gone how you want, to be able to be like, it's not, that's in the past and I'm focusing on the moves in front of me, doing one move at a time. So like I think that's a skill that comes with competing for sure.
Well said. And right now we're getting our first look at Adam Shahar on men's number 1, just dropping the top as Nikaya Sanders takes a moment to reset before bringing that other hand on for a top of women's number 1, which we've seen so far every woman top.
A flash train continues there. But second boulder is definitely proving to be trickier for women, I think.
Oh, almost able to
cool.
save it there, Ethan Freudenheim.
Yeah, and that shiny part that we can see on there is dual tech, so I'm pretty impressed that Isaac was actually able to like come down on that thing.
I agree.
Not easy to hold. Adam had kind of a different method over there, bringing his left hand super close in last time. He's just going to bump that time. Nice. Does look a little more secure if you can keep that left hand on.
Nicely done a top there for Adam Shahar. You notice he put tape on his leg too.
Smart move.
Probably
premature.
To keep the skin intact.
Yeah, avoid the issues that Hugo was having over there with his knee on the purple hold.
On your far left, and now just the front of your screen, in the nice sun from Austin, Kyra Condi on women's number 2 trying to figure out this upper section. Again, we saw Ella Fisher really find a great way to get through the top section.
Yeah.
See what Kyra is going to do here. I would guess she tries a more dynamic method.
Wow.
And that's exactly what Jay Ho was saying.
Nice.
Was the kind
super
of
dynamic
idea.
method, yeah.
And we see Ethan Freudenheim doing the same thing that we saw Isaac Left do.
I wonder if they talked about it a little bit.
They might have.
Super psyched.
So
that's
another
awesome.
top there for Ethan. Again, his first Boulder final at a championship event as well. So also off to a very great start as he's halfway through the boulders now. Only 2 more to go. Kyra taking a little bit of time to rest, probably going to move that clock down to 1. And while she's resting, I want to take a quick second to thank all of our volunteers at this competition this week. We cannot get these events done without all those volunteers. So thank you, thank you, thank you for everything you do. And if one of our comps come to your area, please volunteer because we could always use more help. Kyra back on the wall. Was pretty close on that last attempt. So see if she can execute a little bit better.
Yeah, much more dynamic method than Ella, but if you time it right, it does seem like it definitely works, but super physical method.
And it does look like the more difficult method, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to see what everyone else will try, because I think once you get in there, it seems like there are a lot of options moving off that red hold.
Quick look at Nikaya Sanders' send of women's number 1, easily done. Another flash. And another look at the send from Adam Shahar.
Adam's been on a tear recently, doing a lot of super hard outdoor boulders, so it's cool to see him kind of showing up to compete and so strong here as well.
100%. And Ethan Freudenheim with his top of men's number 2.
Love his celebrations.
Yeah,
so
the joyous lad. And with that, Ben Hanna. We're going to call him Benjamin Hanna for the first part of this competition and then refer to him as Ben for the rest of the time because no one really calls him Benjamin
No.
in real life. And Melina Costanza out for her attempt of women's number 1, our highest qualified athletes to the final. So this will be the last time you see boulder number 1. And we'll soon get our first look at boulder number 3 after this round of 4 minutes. Vale Everett on men's number 2 right now.
Melina leading the way in all the rounds of this competition so far on the bouldering side.
And I was going to say flying through this boulder specifically.
Boom.
Nicely done. Another flash of women's number 1. No surprise there, really.
Got Maya in the full sun there. It's luckily pretty cool in the gym here in Austin, but it's been real warm outside.
And Ben Hanna just needing to get that second hand on. And another top on men's number 1. So we will say goodbye to those boulders. And all the focus on Maya Madere. See if she can figure out this final part of boulder number 2. It is. Oh, that's nice.
Wow. Yeah, Ella climbed that thing really well.
I know. I almost
I want to see a replay of
me
that
too.
section.
I'm like, what exactly? Because she was up there so fast.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what she did. I know she was going feet first.
Oh, nice. Vale making that method work.
I was going to say, great control of that swing there. So
yeah, cool to see both ways work like pretty evenly.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's that much easier to do it the more static way.
No, not at all. I think
kind of the goal.
Yeah, Isaac and Ethan do it going down on the purple thing. The other two guys, Xander and Vale,
yeah, it's
jump,
kind of perfect.
So, nice. Yeah.
Maya taking a little rest here before getting back on again. This boulder in the steepest section of the wall and kind of made steeper with the extra volumes that are on the wall. So really important to rest. And another thing different from the semifinal round is because these athletes got to look at all the boulders during their observation time, they kind of know what's coming next. So a little easier to gauge your energy level and kind of manage your attempts that way. I feel like it's kind of hard when you don't know what's next. You can kind of see angles, right? But you don't know exactly what's next in those other rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I think mentally, like a final as opposed to a semifinal or qualification where you don't get the preview is very different. I mean, you get a lot more time to kind of visualize, to think about sequences and kind of be a little bit more strategic in terms of, are you going to save some energy? Are you gonna just kind of go for it.
Exactly, and you can even talk about it after the observation, right? When you go back into ISO and like continue those conversations until you go out.
I know personally, like the visualization and having that extra time to kind of think about the boulders and imagine myself being successful on the moves is really important, or somewhere where I feel like I mentally am able to put myself in the best space to perform, and I think a lot of people feel kind of similarly. But that's sort of countered with also the pressure of being in a final and feeling like you have to perform. So just a slightly different mental game, I would say.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Maya looking a little tired and going to choose to go back and save her energy, like you were saying, that strategy. And again, with a seasoned competitor like her, it makes a lot of sense to make a decision like that. Quick look at the replay of Melina Costanza's send of women's number 1. Got it done really easily.
Second boulder proving to be a lot harder right now on the women's side.
And a look at the end of Ben Hanna's send of men's number 1, just a little kiss to that hold. And a look at Vale Everett's send as well. We really, that was a really good job of controlling that swing. It went a little bit wild. And we are going to come back to you with all the action just after this commercial break.
You don't get a fire in your belly with a boring breakfast. You gotta light that sucker up with the good stuff. Kodiak stuff. Whole grains and a whole lot of protein stuff. Eating hearty sets the table for epic days ahead. Dig in and you'll see. It's wild what you and a real Kodiak breakfast can do. Proud sponsor of USA Climbing.
The power of we is all for one. It's all for you. It's always there for you. It completes your circle. It says you've got a team even when you're out there alone. And with Intermountain Health in your circle, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
For me, motivation comes from the chance to go faster and faster. I find speed pretty addicting.
Out here. We play different. We don't play with whistles or referees. We play with adrenaline and euphoria. We play roughhouse with failure. We don't play games out here.
Welcome back to USA Climbing's 2025 National Team Trials presented by YETI. I'm Megan Martin, joined by Chloe Koskoy, and we are going to go to a quick clip of Ella Fisher's send of women's number 2. Unfortunately, this is women's number 1, but we wanted to see women's number 2 again just to kind of see what she did at the end of the boulder, but we'll take the clip of number 1 as well.
Made this one look easy as well.
Yeah. So far, Ella's the only one who has sent women's number 2, and she did it in such an interesting way, and we just wanted a little refresher, but we're going to get back to the competition.
She's getting started on women's number 3 already.
And Isaac left at the moment, waiting to get on men's number 3. Shot a Hugo Hoyer on men's number 2. Getting ready to brush those holds.
He'll probably feel a little pressure getting onto this one, knowing that people have done the first one. He wasn't quite able to make that one work, so see if he can get something done here.
Yeah, and after the athletes climb the boulders, once they've all been on them, they can talk about those boulders. It wouldn't make sense to talk about the ones other people haven't been on. I mean, they're not technically allowed to in the rules, but also it wouldn't be to their advantage in the competition. So once the boulders have been climbed by everyone, often they do kind of chit chat in the back about like, oh, what did you do here? Like, did you send? Like, where'd you get to? Blah blah blah.
Yeah, a lot of people like to just kind of ask like, how did you get through this section? Like if they were confused about a specific part of the boulder, they'll ask some questions there, but kind of depends on the round, I would say. Sometimes it's pretty quiet back there. Everyone just kind of getting in the zone, trying to get their head ready for the next one.
I was going to say
that was nice work by Adrian getting through this section.
It was, and I feel like this is exactly what Ella did. So we don't even need that replay, although Ella did get that knee scum. But Adrian Akiko Clark finding really nice beta to get through. It's subtly different from what Ella did.
Yeah, absolutely. Making that look pretty easy as well.
Again, just doing a really good job of using the footwork to get through that dynamic movement and avoiding having to use all that energy, which is very smart.
Nice work by Hugo there. I think visually that second women's boulder doesn't look overly complicated, but actually it seems like there are a few little kind of hand sequences that you can do to set yourself up really well for that finish section, and if you're ending up jumping for it, it becomes a lot harder, I think.
I totally agree. On the left of your screen, Isaac left brushing that
third boulder.
Yeah, and what I've been told too in general is the volumes at this competition have been really slippery.
Yeah. In the qualification, our first women's boulder, which was very similar to the first men's boulder, had this big yellow volume, and it was so slippery. I felt like I was doing everything perfectly, technically, to stand on it, and I was just watching my foot just move inch by inch by inch. So I think everyone had some shin scrapes from that boulder.
Battle wounds.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I was talking earlier to Jeremy Ho about this boulder specifically, we were kind of joking about how, it's kind of one of those climbs where like you kind of feel like you're slipping and falling, and a lot. It'll be likely that the athletes kind of are falling / throwing themselves into that number 10 zone hold.
Yeah.
Because you're just never really in a sure-footed position.
Yeah.
And with the volume specifically, like you can see how slippery it is and how like gravelly this whole thing. Oh, he's looking to bypass to the 25 top.
Wow, that's a ways away.
It is. Wow. Oh, that was kind of fun.
I think a couple more inches and that could work.
Yeah, I like the creativity. Yeah. A nice look at women's number 3 with Ella Fisher trying to work out these opening moves. It's an interesting boulder for the women. It's not super slow as a slab. It's got a little bit of jumping and then kind of followed by some slower movement, which I kind of like when it has that diversity just within one boulder.
Both boulders looking really tricky, kind of complex. Like visually, I think at first glance, it's really hard to kind of understand the setter's intentions and see, what the intended sequences are. It's kind of, they both seem like those boulders you kind of just get on and hope that your intuition kind of leads you in the right direction.
That's a great way of putting those two climbs specifically. I feel like that time period went really fast.
It did, yeah.
Another look at Adrian Akiko Clark's send of women's number 2, only the second send of the competition, with Ella Fisher being the first athlete. These two athletes actually both with 2 flashes so far. And another look at Hugo Hoyer's send of men's number 2. We've seen this one done quite a few times in different variations, some with the static and some with that dynamic jump to the finish. Both ways looking pretty enjoyable, honestly. Our next athletes walking out to their boulders in front of you on men's number 2, Joshua Gerhardt and Annalise Van Hong to his right on women's number 3. So the boulders are kind of all over the place for the men and the women. None of them are on numbers next to each other, which is kind of nice. Helen Gillette on women's number 2, looking at it for her first attempts. Ooh, good save there.
Nice.
I like this first coordination move.
Yeah,
it's like,
I think it's an awesome coordination move.
yeah, it's not too crazy difficult. It's kind of subtle, but you do have to like have the coordination.
Yeah, not super far, but the positioning needs to be really solid.
Nice.
It's 2 flashes for Josh. He'll be super psyched with that.
Yeah, he's off to a great start
Amazing
in
way
this
to start
round.
his final. Helen, I'm excited to see what she does here. I think this is one that I would imagine would suit her pretty well if she's able to read that middle section the way the other girls have. Nice.
And that's
Yeah,
what it
there you
is,
go.
right? It's committing to the match on the
Yeah,
underclink
it
to
seems
set
like-
yourself up to do a more static finish here.
It seems like if you can get your hands on the red one without too much swing, you set yourself up pretty well to finish that in sequence.
And another top and flash for Helen Gillette. So halfway through the competition for her and already off to a really great start as Annalise Van Hong tries to figure out these opening dynamic moves on women's number 3. Definitely a little funky.
Yeah, also kind of looks like one where you almost fall into the end position. Oh, Xander.
Yeah, it's hard to see, but the blue hold that like honestly is blending into the volume is also one of those holds that is only a slippery surface hold. So not only is the volume slippery, but that next hold up higher has no texture that he's about to, well, and see, he's choosing not to stand on it at the moment.
Yeah, this
Now
left
he has
guy,
to, yeah. It almost, yeah, you can't really see it. But he's looking really good. We didn't really
Oh,
see
wow,
Isaac
yeah.
get over here, so it'll be cool to see if he can figure out that section.
I think he'll bump his right foot down to make just a little more room for the right arm to come through that time. But looks like, in general, moving in the right direction, making progress on that boulder.
Exactly. See if Annalise Van Hong can figure out. It is a kind of weird, especially like it's kind of around a little corner.
Yeah, it looks like you have to commit a lot to get over this left foot as opposed to just kind of staying to the right of this first handhold. And it can be like, I think, really hard just feeling based to make that adjustment. It's one where you probably want to intuitively want to just hang on to this first one, but
That looked better. It looked like she
It's
kind of
pretty
got
hard to
that
hold.
swing a little bit more
Yeah.
under control, or like kind of found that momentum level that she needs. See what Xander does here if he changes up his beta.
he's already got a different hand sequence. Oh, no, go back to how his hands were earlier.
Yeah, I was curious about that, if he was going to stay up there.
Yeah,
Honestly, with how slippery they've said the volumes, of course, right? When
Yeah,
I was going to say he
that's,
looks pretty comfortable
that's
there.
about how a lot of us looked in some of the earlier rounds.
40 seconds left on the clock for both Annalise and Xander, who are out there on the wall right now. This third boulder for the women proving
Yeah.
to be, oh gosh, she is so close. Just
Definitely
thinking
seems
that.
like the boulders have gotten harder as the round has progressed so far. We're seeing fewer and fewer tops, particularly on the women's side for now.
I agree. See if Xander can figure out what he needs to do here. Kind of tricky
Oh, he's
because
looking at going straight up.
Oh, I wonder if that's why previously he tried to bump his hand up too. That probably
Yeah,
is
maybe.
a good. I was gonna say it kind of a bummer because he did some extra moves, but wasn't able to get to that zone still. So he's still that number 10 placard. So he still has no points on that boulder.
Yeah, no one got points on that one, so on either of these
Either,
third
yeah.
boulders so far.
Another look at Joshua Gerhardt's flash and send of men's number 2, and
Strong
Helen
work
Gillette's
from Helen.
flash and send of women's number 2. And we are coming up on our next couple competitors to come out to the number 2 boulders. There's a look at Micaiah Sanders for women's number 2, and you'll see to the left of her Ethan Freudenheim on men's number 3. He's already got 2 tops under his belt, and Adam Shahar getting ready for men's number 2. I was looking at this boulder earlier, and I was like, this is just the right amount of coordination that I don't think Adam will dislike this boulder.
I think he'll like this boulder. It
Too
does
much
seem-
coordination I feel like he's not a huge fan of, but this level is kind of perfect.
It seems fairly straightforward in that you're not going to be like super confused in terms of the methods, and I think that makes it a little bit more approachable or like easier to come at the boulder with confidence when that is the case. So
Totally.
I think he'll deal with that well.
And already about to make his way through it. Not able to
Maybe
hold
just
that
rush
swing
that
there.
end move a little bit.
Yeah.
Taking a second more to position himself.
I feel like Nikaya is another one who will figure out a nice way to
Yeah.
get into this in a more controlled manner as she's doing it right now.
Nice.
And you know, one of the shorter competitors in this competition, as you see, she was a little more stretched out on those movements, just 5'2" with a +3 wingspan. Previously, we saw Adrian up here, who is 5'6", so that's a very Nikaya way of finishing a boulder too.
Extremely flexible. Nice work from Adam there.
Send for Adam Shahar. Real nice fine tuning on the jump move and controlling that swing. You really saw him throw that foot out to the left to make sure his legs weren't helicoptering him off the wall. And back to men's number 3 that has not seen too much progress, where Ethan Freudenheim is, as Kyra Condi tries to figure out how to get around this first jump.
Seems to be struggling sort of in the same way as Annalise was, just trying to get over to the left a little bit.
Every one of these men eyeing up the finish hold, seeing if they can skip the whole boulder. We'll see if Ethan can figure out how to do it.
To be honest, if anyone could, I might put my money on Ethan.
I would agree.
In terms of skipping that boulder there.
I
Super
definitely-
powerful athlete.
I support
Kyra
that.
getting really close.
We mentioned earlier that Ethan also does speed climbing, which power is so important for speed. So really nice transition from speed to boulder. I think those two disciplines can work off one another really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like she's trying to slow it down just a
Yeah, she
little
got
too much.
really close doing it slow, but it does look super hard and just kind of like an awkward movement. You can't maybe see on the camera super well, but where that first hold is kind of a corner. And so there you can kind of see she has to come around the corner, which definitely makes it really tricky, I think, in the hips to position yourself a little bit.
Oh, there we
Does
go.
it well that time.
Finally getting some more moves in on women's number 3.
First view at the second part of the boulder.
This is nice too, because I feel like this is a slab climb that Kyra would like a little bit more than others. I feel like that's not always the case.
It seems kind of like a physical slab a little bit, like a lot of work in the hands. Oh,
nothing too crazy for her back. You know, she has
nothing too bendy. Yeah.
scoliosis, and her back had to have that surgery when she was younger. So some of her spine is fused, so it kind of creates a little limited flexibility there. So occasionally the boulders can be, on this angle specifically, not her favorite body positions, but I think this one, I think she wouldn't hate it.
She has improved tremendously in that style, though. I think does a really good job of kind of working around that and figuring out how to make the sequences work for her.
I 100% agree with that. See if Ethan can figure out a way to get to this finish hold without...
Maybe he'll go for the top again, last-ditch effort. No, taking his time. Nice.
Yep, trying to actually go with the more intended method, but not enough time to keep going, unfortunately. Man, I want to see some more moves on that boulder.
I'm wondering if this might be a boulder that Hugo will like. I could kind of see him making some progress there.
I agree. Quick look at Nikaya Sanders' top.
Nice.
So much flexibility there.
Yeah, did a good job of kind of staying in the discomfort and kind of refusing to let go there for that last bit.
She's really good at that, as Adam Shahar makes some fine-tuning on his jump to the finish holds in order to have enough body control to control that finish hold. Nice look at the crowd. We got a nice crowd here in Austin, Texas at Mesa Rim Climbing Center. So happy to be back here and thankful. We were here a couple years ago for team trials, so thank you, Mesa Rim, for having us back at your beautiful facility.
Last athletes on the second boulders.
Yep, Melina Costanza on women's number 2, and we will have Ben Hanna on men's number 2.
I think Ben will love this boulder.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's been really impressing me with his coordination skills recently. So I'm excited to see what he does there.
Me too, and Melina is already off on women's number 2, halfway through the boulder, climbing right in the sun.
Nice.
Setting up nicely to go into that red hold. Now, she didn't match the blue hold first, but I was going to say, I think she can, because I think she could kind of keep the tension with the feet. Now just has to match. And another flash for Melina
Funny Boulder, I
Costanza.
think all the athletes who have done it have flashed it, and then a pretty even amount of athletes
Haven't done it.
haven't done it.
That is always
Kinda rare
interesting
to
when
see
it,
that.
yeah, that's not very common, I agree. Vale Everett on men's number 3. If you got a chance to watch YETI Nationals, he was the Boulder national champion. And Ben Hanna quickly into men's number 2, going for that more dynamic approach. Oh, just catches it a little bit
low,
off,
yeah.
Yeah, I almost feel like that palm was a little more straight on too. Maya Madare on women's number 3. We've finally seen some more movement on that boulder from Kyra Condi.
I'm interested to see Vale here. Actually.
Yeah. Gosh, men's number 2 is so quick.
Oh, I'm wondering if Vale hasn't made some moves. We heard the
we
crowd
heard
screaming a little bit.
some big cheers. I'm gonna guess he did.
Yeah, at least made some progress on this boulder, I think.
Sounds like he got to the zone and fell, so that would have been the farthest. I'm not sure if he got control of the zone, obviously, as we didn't see it. But we can look back at the results and see if he was awarded it. But I'm sure he'll get back up there.
He will have been the first person to do that. So
yeah, sounds like he just touched it. I'm not seeing any points awarded, but I feel like that's a good confidence booster with plenty of time left on the clock to get that boulder done, or at least get control of the zone.
All right, let's see what he did. Yeah, it looks like a super uncomfortable position.
Oh, so close.
Nice, yeah, jumping kind of from a pretty low position.
Which is when I was looking at it earlier, I was like, I feel like that's kind of what you're going to want to do because you're so uncomfortable. Surprised that Ben's having trouble with this finishing move right now.
Yeah, I am as well. I think this is the type of move he likes, but
just hasn't found the right.
Timing is a little off, position's a little off. It's pretty easy to kind of not do it, obviously. So.
Which kind of is comps, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, especially when you have only 4 minutes of climbing time and, you know, you're trying something for the first time. And also, remember, these athletes have also climbed 5 boulders in the semifinal round this morning. So it's a big ask.
Yeah.
Granted, y'all are very conditioned for it. Oh, yeah, 4 boulders in the semifinal round. Excuse me.
4 boulders, but the full warm-up as well definitely takes quite a bit out of you. Nice, good work from Ben.
I was going to say the relief there, because he knows from the crowd that, and from the athletes coming back so quickly, that he needed to do that boulder, so in order to stay in the running for the podium here.
For now, it's really coming down to attempts with the men. I think they're not separated by very many points, so it'll be really interesting to see if anyone can make the 3rd and then 4th boulder work.
Yeah, that 3rd boulder is going to be a game changer.
A game changer. Yeah, Vale not looking like he'll get that 10-point hold either.
So we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with all the action.
You don't get a fire in your belly with a boring breakfast. You gotta light that sucker up with the good stuff. Kodiak stuff. Whole grains and a whole lot of protein stuff. Eating hearty sets the table for epic days ahead. Dig in and you'll see. It's wild what you and a real Kodiak breakfast can do. Proud sponsor of USA Climbing.
The power of we is all for one. It's all for you. It's It's always there for you. It completes your circle. It says you've got a team even when you're out there alone. And with Intermountain Health in your circle, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we, Intermountain Health.
For me, motivation comes from the chance to go faster and faster. I find speed pretty addicting.
Out here. We play different. We don't play with whistles or referees. We play with adrenaline and euphoria. We play roughhouse with failure. We don't play games out here.
Welcome back to USA Climbing's 2025 National Team Trials presented by YETI. I'm Megan Martin. While we were away, we had to let Chloe Koskoy go, so thank you so much, Chloe, for helping me out. And now we have Charlie Barron in the booth with us.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm psyched.
Of course. Yeah, I'm so excited for you to be here. So already this round has been kind of crazy. We've got a lot of tops, especially for the men, so it's a tight race. And we're going to look at some highlights from the last little round of competition.
Sweet. Sounds good.
That top for Melina Costanza easily getting women's number 2
She's
done.
been absolutely on fire this weekend. And honestly, this whole event, lead 2.
I agree. Ben Hanna had a little bit of an issue finishing up this boulder, men's number 2, but he was able to make it happen. And I feel like he probably could hear that so many athletes did it. So you could see the relief on his face when he finished. Oh, man. Because you know Ben wants to be on that podium.
Yeah. And for him, like, he probably needs to get that boulder done. Like, everyone else before him's done it, so.
It's a very tight race with the men. And, again, the staging area is pretty close to where they are right now, and so it's pretty easy to hear the cheers. But on top of that, like, you have athletes coming back really quickly on a lot of these boulders, so that is always more information to you that, you know, things are getting done, right? Mm-hmm. Our first look at women's number 4 with Ella Fisher quickly onto it. Ooh, big jump there.
Isaac Leff as well, getting started on boulder 4. I'm super curious to see if the climbers end up going right hand into this pocket or left hand.
I mean, I have a little insider info from Jeremy Ho, the head setter. He was saying right hand, and you kind of spin around after you get the right hand. Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if they do it that way or if they end up doing it another way. And Hugo Hoyer in a really good position to possibly be the first one into the zone there. From the crowd, I can hear it sounds like he might have done it as we're watching Ella Fisher with her attempt on women's number 4 and getting close to a top.
You know, this is a huge moment for Hugo. Hugo, one of the only athletes to not do the first boulder.
So yeah, it really
being the
needs
first,
this.
Yeah, being the first one to get some scoring points here is super valuable for him.
You know, this finish does seem really difficult, though, kind of having to slingshot your way up to that finish hold. And Chloe and I were talking earlier about, like, kind of how slippery the volumes have been at this competition.
True. I think I heard that all of the volumes they've been using are made in-house by Mesa Rim, which is super cool. But, yeah, it's maybe a texture that most of the athletes are not actually that used to.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Another look at Ella Fisher on women's number 4. This will be her last boulder of the competition. Nicely into that jump.
Isaac sticks the pocket too.
Yep. Second time we've seen Ella in a knee bar in this competition. Really made quick work of women's number 2, which was so impressive. And she's going to be setting up for this finish hold now. Pretty powerful. Oh, man. So I was wondering about going with 2 hands to the finish here, or if it would be better to go with 1. And J-Ho was mentioning that probably easier to control with the 1, just because that finish hold with that much momentum, kind of hard to stop
For sure.
afterwards. So we'll see. We'll see if she continues to do that method.
I feel like the more that the athletes can really get their center of mass under where they're engaging on that finish hold is really going to kill their swing and give them good stick on the finish hold as well.
I totally agree. Adrian Akiko Clark up into the 10 zone on women's number 3. We've only really seen Kyra Condi here earlier, but Adrian looking really cool, calm, and collected. I will say that is one of her strengths that I've noticed a lot recently. She does a really good job of being patient on the wall, not just in the boulder discipline, but also the lead discipline. And I think that's been serving her well. Now she is going to have to do a more committing move here, kind of throw over with the foot. Oh, wow. Even she's surprised with that top. Adrian Akiko Clark came to play this week, already won the lead competition, so looking to try to also win this one.
Here we go. We got Hugo trying some different beta here. This
that
might
is
just work.
Brilliant.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. And like you were saying, Charlie, of all the men in this competition right now, he needs that top because he did not do number 1.
That is huge for Hugo.
Yeah, and again, you know, it's funny because like Hugo is quite a young competitor still, but he has so much experience under his belt, not just from the youth side, but another one of those athletes that came into the elite side of competition and really just exploded on the scene with like early podium finishes in both disciplines. So he might only be 17 years old, but might as well be 25.
Honestly, yeah.
Sounds like we have a little blood on the scene, so we'll have to deal with that. But here's another look at Adrian Akiko Clark's incredible send of women's number 3. I personally just love the shock on her own face. And then some nice problem solving here by Hugo Hoyer, just figuring out another method, a more secure method to get to the top of men's number 3. First person to even get into that number 10 zone, so to finish it off is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with Hugo getting the top on 2 and 3 and the 10 zone on 1, that moves him up into first place.
I was going to say,
now.
I was just checking the scores, and he is exactly in first place now, so he's in a really good position. And I looked at the boulders earlier, and I do think he's going to like number 4.
I think so, too.
Yeah, what do you think of the boulders in general?
I feel like the boulders look pretty fantastic, in my opinion. Good kind of split of styles and really allows for athletes to kind of like show up to something and like do something unique. And that's exactly what Hugo just did on this slab boulder. We see 5 climbers come out before him. 4 climbers come out before him and really struggle, and then Hugo, clearly he's been doing his slab work in the TC lately, so.
Yeah, and with route setting in general, obviously the setters, they set the boulders, they forerun them, they have a method that they think makes sense for how the athletes will do the boulder, right? But there's no rule. Like, if you can articulate the boulder in a different way, find a different way to do it, like, great. You know, there's no one way to do things, and it is really cool when that works out. And especially with this with these high level athletes, it's cool to see them be able to do that in a competition.
For sure. Always got to look for those beta breaks.
It is so true, and again, it's like just listening to your own intuition, your own climbing. Like, every climber is different. You all have different skill sets. You're all really good at some things and could work on other things. Everybody has a weakness, right?
Sure.
But it's really good to like be intuitive as a climber, right? Like, don't do something because you think this is how someone wants you to do it. Listen to your body and try to figure out how to make it or find the things that feel more comfortable, even if it's obvious that that's not the way they might have intended it, right?
Yeah, I feel like the best athletes, they do a fantastic job of being able to like analyze a boulder from the ground, think of the methods that they want to try or that they think could work for them, and then as soon as they're on the wall, for sure trying to like think about those things that could work for you, but also just being able to flip the switch, intuitively climb, and figure out what you need to do in the moment.
Exactly, so well said. And you had a great competition this week. You were the number 1 seed into the semifinal and only 1 spot out of the final. How are you feeling about everything?
I'm feeling pretty good. This season's been a little different for me. I've had like a few different injuries that have prevented me from training the way I wanted to. And so I was really coming into this comp just like excited to climb, excited to have fun, and to try and do my best. So I
Yeah.
feel like I'm pretty happy with it.
Oh, good. I love to hear that. And I always feel like you have a really good attitude about competitions. I mean, even before the competition started, you got to Austin and like we're out doing a rope swing into a river.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I think there's a good balance. Obviously, you're a very focused and motivated competitor, and this is obviously important to you. But I think having that balance of enjoying not just the climbing, but also, you know, being in a new state, going to do more things. Like, I think that's great. And I think you're a great example for the sport in that way.
Thanks, Megan.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, I've been competing for a long time, and like I think this is the third time that I've been one spot out of finals at either a nationals or a team trials, and so I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, it happens. Sometimes you win, sometimes you're one spot out. Yeah.
It ebbs
It's
and
inevitable.
flows. Yeah. That is comps for sure, and I think that's a great perspective.
All right.
And we are back to the climbing. Joshua Gerhardt getting ready to go on men's number 3, having a great competition so far. This is his first final at a championship event in the
Yeah.
boulder discipline, so he is coming out and really getting his money's worth of this final, right?
Yeah, not to be biased, but Josh was on the Momentum team, which is the youth team that I
Okay.
coach in Utah. He aged out last year, I believe, and so it's super exciting. To see him finding some success at this stage. I know he's been working hard for a long time, and it's really cool to see it all come together for him.
Yeah, that is awesome when that happens. Wow, Xander Waller quickly into that toe hook here. You can't see because of the sun, but that clear hold has some googly eyes inside of it, just for fun. So this is kind of this 360. You're going to match facing the way he is and then kind of come out of it. Or I guess you're going to turn around and match and move at the same time and then swing over is what was intended, but we'll see if it works. Yeah, you can see it, right?
Wow, this move looks crazy.
I know, right? Annalise Van Hong setting up for the end of women's 4. See if she can figure out how to get onto that finish hold in a secure way. Yeah, I think just the one hand over, I think, is definitely going to be way more secure.
Yeah, I feel like if you go with one hand, you can hit the finish hold pretty close. But if you're going to go with two hands, you almost need to overshoot it a bit so that you can get onto the like downward facing side of that finish hold.
And I do think if they do that as well, they're going to have to like kick the wall or something in order to slow themselves down a little bit too, which honestly is asking a little bit more of them than I think if you just kind of control it with the right hand. But we'll have to see. Helen Gillette trying to work her way around this corner here. We've seen it done a couple of times. One top on this boulder so far from Adriana Kiko-Clark. Nicely into that first hold to set up to try to get over in the least aggressive manner possible is definitely the goal, and she does a great job there of making that happen. Always fun to watch Helen climb. I feel like she's a very graceful style of climbing. Powerful, but also graceful.
For sure, yeah.
Annalise back up on her final boulder of the competition here. See if she can reset and figure out how to get to that finish hold. And we're back to Helen also getting ready to set up to get over to that finish hold. It's definitely possible, and she probably heard the screams about Adrian too. Man, Annalise so close. Such an awkward position. Still plenty of time, just over a minute left for these athletes. Xander, I think, making a really good decision, waiting down that clock. That angle of the wall, I mean, you were out there earlier. It is steep.
It is super steep. I feel like one of the biggest aspects of comp climbing is being able to manage your time and stay calm and not just get right back on the wall. Xander's putting on a clinic for that right now.
Exactly, and it is so hard with all that adrenaline pumping, right?
Yeah, when you think you need to do something, it's so easy to be like, okay, I need to just get back on and do what I need to do. But you'll see with a lot of the most experienced athletes that they know when they can do something and that it's worth it for them to take that rest, get set, and then do it.
Oh, try to do like a ghost match in that pocket there. Oof. Annalise setting up for that finish again. See if she can do it this time. Oh, that was as close as you can get. Same with Helen, getting very close, and they will be out of time. You know, the toe hook throw on men's number 4 too, I don't know. I mean, he makes it look so easy, but that kind of movement is so difficult.
For sure.
I feel like the core strength and then also like just the precision with the toe hook. I think that's so much harder than people
Yeah,
realize.
and with the clear hold blocking the 10 zone, it's really impressive that he was able to repeat that.
I know, yeah, and that's the 4th boulder of the round and probably the most powerful that they've had. Speaking of power, here comes Ethan Freudenheim.
I'm excited to watch
I know,
this.
I think he's going to like this boulder, as I do think Nikaya will like this one as well. Really good on slab, so much flexibility and a lot of patience when she climbs. And Kyra Conti brushing those opening holds on her final boulder of the round of competition, as is Adam Shahar here on men's number 3. And Ethan is on the wall.
Just a foot slip, he's got that.
Yeah, for sure. I think Kyra will like this boulder. I think this is probably the one that maybe suits her the best.
Yeah, I think so too. I know she's been doing a lot of board climbing lately, and so I feel like there's a chance she's just going to eat that left-hand crimp before the finish hold.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting because, like, I'm pretty sure, is she the first one to use that other hold?
I think so. Everyone else has been just trying to lean straight across.
And when Ella did that earlier, I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that because I thought they were going to use the other hold, and that's what I was kind of told was the intention. So already making quick work of the opening moves here. Let's see if she can end this boulder. Setting up nicely to go a little more Oh! And the hand popping off at the last minute. And Nikaya Sanders already into the 10 here on women's number 3. No surprise there. Ooh, little slip though. And that blue hold that she had for a foot is all the slippery texture. So those are never fun to stand on. Oh, he's gonna set it. We've seen this tried a couple times, but nobody's gotten that close. Now you are taking the risk here, right? So now he's touched the finish hold, but he doesn't get the 10, right? As long as he finishes, it doesn't matter. Once you get the top 25, you get that, right?
For sure.
So you don't have to use the 10 zone, but then if you never get any points, that's the risk, right? If you consistently just go for the finish.
Yeah, I think this third boulder tests like a really interesting amount of like decision making for the athletes, because I'm sure everyone thought like, oh, maybe I can like just skip and go straight to the top. But if you spend all your time doing that, you maybe miss out on a potential 10, or from what we saw with Hugo, once he got that 10, he got the top. So.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a game of like strategy too, right? It's always, you don't want to make the wrong decision, and you only have 4 minutes. Yeah. Nikaya in a really nice position. Now, I don't know if getting the foot out makes it a little weird. It looks like it does make it a little weird, but she's able to make it happen.
Let's go.
That is an amazing moment. We're going to have to see a replay of that later. That was fun. Kyra Conti back up on women's number 4. Let's see if she can hold on to the finish this time. Oh, so close. Man, that was tough.
Wow, this left hand before the finish hold must be so bad.
It's like a little jib on another hold, I believe, and it's also blocked. So it's like, I feel like it's thumb, pointer, middle finger purchase, but then on top of it, it's blocked. So once you get the finish hold, it kind of brings you up to like fall into the blocked hold. Ethan having more trouble on this than I thought. Honestly, I think it's just this pocket. Like once he gets out of the pocket, I think he'll be set, but he's really having a harder time getting off those cribs into the pocket than I would have thought.
Getting into that pocket looks like just a super accurate move, and there's kind of like 2 ways to go around that. You can be super strong and like ISO the move as much as possible, or you can try and use a little bit more of your hip momentum and really find good timing to find the pocket. Looks like Ethan's kind of opting for the former, but I wonder if he tried to swing his hips a little more, if he couldn't just snipe that pocket.
Oh, I think that was a good decision for Kyra to at least try going 2 hands one time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Even though I think it's the harder method, but you don't want to walk away without trying something different sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think that was great climbing from Kyra. The only thing is number 2, if she could have figured out to do a more controlled method, I think that she would have done the number 2 boulder and might have put her in a different position. But otherwise, I think she climbed really well in this round and really good adjustments. And gosh, so close. That's always tough to drop a finish multiple times. Another look at the send here from Nikaya Sanders. So cool. Wow, just getting it done, kind of skipping that last hold. So much finger strength, so much body control. I feel like body control is like 10 in her wheelhouse, right?
I
In her
agree.
skill set.
I
So
love
impressive.
watching Micaiah
Me
climb.
too, because
She
you never
honestly
know
is-
what she's going to do.
Yeah, for real.
It is so cool. And, you know, for a long time, I feel like, you know, she was always so talented in climbing well, but the results were not showing that. And it's been really cool to see that the
Yeah, I feel like
results
these
are finally.
last couple
Yep.
years, it's all been coming together.
And
She's doing the right things.
It does take time for that to happen, right? And I think it's hard when you're in that time period of being so close and not getting the results. But then I do think it makes it that much sweeter when it comes. And what do they say? Anything worth having requires hard work, right?
For sure.
Vale always gets on the wall so quick. Whether it's
does.
Boulder or lead, he is just out there and on it.
Good.
And he just did that pull through campus method without the toe hook. And that's exactly what I was told was the method here with that campus, kind of campus paddle.
Yeah, that
Also-
looked good. I feel like for a first try, that's great. I feel like he's got this maybe.
And I was going to say, this kind of movement I feel like is high in his skill set specifically.
True.
Ben looking really good on men's number 3 right now,
Yes,
looking more
looks
comfortable
nice.
than most of the men we've seen here. And Melina already firing through on women's number 3. Another athlete who has just been on fire in general in the last couple of years in these competitions.
Oh, wow.
I mean, let's give her a hard one.
Yeah, so easy for Melina. It's so sick.
She is a difficult competitor to beat. She is so on, and when she's on, I feel like there is no, it's really hard to catch her. See if Vale can make this happen. He's got the right idea. Swing was a little off that time.
Yeah.
That first attempt, I think, was a bit better.
Here we got Ben on number 3.
Looking pretty comfortable in that stance again. Just needs to figure out how to get out of it. That's hard sometimes, right? On the slab when you do find a comfortable
sure.
position.
It's so easy to get into a spot where you don't trust either of your feet and you're gripped to death in both of your hands. And oh man, that looks so close.
Yeah, plenty of time
Yeah, he's
still,
got lots of
just
time.
under 2 minutes, so can still make something happen. Maya Madare on women's number 4. This will be her last boulder of the round. I do think if she can get up to that last crimp hold, I feel like that last move is a move she's generally good at. I do know she had like a blood vessel burst earlier in the rounds. Like her pinky is like all purple.
Yeah, I think in the qualifier she said that while she
Yeah.
was doing the dual tex hand jam boulder, she like started feeling some pain and her pinky swelled up super bad, bruised overnight. But I talked to her this morning in ISO and she said that it doesn't hurt to crimp, and so she thinks it's not a pulley, it's probably just
Which is great.
yeah, something that maybe is leaving a bit of a mark but not actually affecting her climbing too much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Vale trying to do a repeat of nationals
Yes, he
here.
is.
don't rush it though.
You got this, dude. Come on, Vale.
Needs to stay a little calm here. I don't know if he might have enough time.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not going to do it. It looks like
Yeah.
he's going to walk away as Maya Madare sets up for this final move. Let's see if she can make it happen. Oh, that's so close.
Wow, we got so much action right now.
Seriously, I feel like I won't be able to talk tomorrow. I don't normally scream too much on the live stream. I try to keep my composure, but there is just too much excitement. Now for Ben, honestly, if he can get to the 10, I think he could possibly finish in time, but even if not, the 10 is important.
Yeah.
And, you know, Maya has had a few buzzer beaters in her past, actually, in team trials not too long ago. Just a little too fatigued.
Benny, come on, bud.
Oh, yes,
Come on,
better
dude,
go.
go get some.
Oh. Well, at least he
I love it.
gets the 10 there, so that puts, you know, points. This is
Yes.
what it's coming down to, right? It's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
about the points here. So very smart move there. So quick replay. And Melina Costanza Sen of women's number 3. Probably the easiest we've seen it done. Able to keep that right foot on. Didn't even have to kind of commit to that white foot. Vale Everett getting oh so close to topping men's number 4. Only climber so far to get past this 10 zone hold. Not on that attempt, but it was on the following attempt as Maya Madare also got extremely close to finishing women's number 4. Here is that look of Vale about to do this campus move here. Gosh, it's unfortunate that he doesn't get points for this because that was incredible.
Yeah, that was very impressive.
And then Maya just dropping the top, looked so controlled with like one hand for a second and then not able to get the other hand up onto a controlled position on the finish. But we are going to go to a quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere. We have so much action to come.
All the way down someone who just comes to this.
You don't get a fire in your belly with a boring breakfast. You gotta light that sucker up with the good stuff. Kodiak stuff. Whole grains and a whole lot of protein stuff. Eating hearty sets the table for epic days ahead. Dig in and you'll see. It's wild what you and a real Kodiak breakfast can do. Proud sponsor of USA Climbing.
The power of we is all for one. It's all for you. It's always there for you. It completes your circle. It says you've got a team even when you're out there alone. And with Intermountain Health in your circle, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
For me, motivation comes from the chance to go faster and faster. I find speed pretty addicting.
Out here. We play different. We don't play with whistles or referees. We play with adrenaline and euphoria. We play a rough house with failure. We don't play games out here.
Welcome back to USA Climbing's 2025 National Team Trials presented by YETI. Quick look at the kiss and cry there. All the athletes that have already finished climbing. No surprises here. Everyone's looking at their phones, seeing where they are in the leaderboard. Vale Everett is currently in first for the men, followed by Xander Waller and Hugo Hoyer, but there are still climbers to come. So, you know, they're going to be anxiously looking at what's happening with those scores. And for the women, your current leader still has boulders to climb. Melina Costanza is currently in first, followed by Nikaya Sanders and Adriana Kiko Clark, who all of them still have to climb. So they are in a great position, and they can't look at their phones yet. Adrian taking a moment to brush the women's number 4 holds as Hugo Hoyer gets ready to jump on men's number 4. And you were talking about how you think Hugo might do really well on this boulder specifically.
Yeah, I think so. If he can get through this pocket sequence with one hand onto the 10 zone, I think this paddle is going to fit him really nicely.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he kind of goes with that foot first method like Xander did, or do what Vale did and just campus through. Wow, that campus, Vale made it look really easy.
He did.
Adrian Akiko Clark setting up for the jump here. Some athletes have jumped all the way over. It looks like that's what she's going to do, but you can also do it with stopping on that middle volume hold as well. No one has topped this boulder yet. That last move proving to be quite hard to control. I could definitely see her being able to do it. Also, in general, she's taken not too many attempts on a lot of these boulders tonight. Flashed the first two and did the third one on her third try, so might be a little fresher than some of the other athletes we've seen here.
Oh, wow.
A little slip there. I'm actually surprised she looked a little uncomfortable. Now, we did see Kyra Condi set up with her feet out left. Looks like it gives you a bit better of a stance there. So we'll have to see if Adrian adjusts in that way.
Yeah, I feel like both of these final boulders really come down to one hold. For the boys, it's this pocket, and for the girls, it's that crimp before the finish hold. And I think for the athletes who feel strong on those holds,
they're going to feel good.
They're going to feel good. But if you're not getting good purchase, if you're not feeling strong in the fingers, it's going to be a tough battle.
Well said. Now the angle that Adrian's on is a little more friendly than where Hugo is, so it'll be to Hugo's advantage to definitely spend a little more time on the mats resting, and he'll know that just with his experience in climbing competitions and being so successful in the past that he might need to rest up a little bit more there, as we see Adrian's already kind of like getting ready, or she's halfway through the boulder again already. See if she can find a better body position to set up for the finish. It looks like she already kind of has. It doesn't, I was going to say that position will make this move a little more awkward, but good switch there. Now needs to get her lower body out left again. Nice to really see just how bad that hold is. Oh! Honestly,
that was pretty good.
I actually liked that. I thought that maybe out left the way Kyra did it slowed it down a bit better, but that actually looked even slower. So potentially she could make that work. She doesn't rush bringing that hand in.
Yeah, I feel like that was super close. If I was Adrian, I would take a, well, we'll see. I would take a big rest.
She
and
does
then
have
maybe
pretty
only
good
give
endurance,
one. That's
though.
true. Yeah, clearly.
I know.
Winning the lead.
Exactly. And again, she did flash the first two boulders, only
That's
3
true.
attempts on the third one, which was a slab. So she probably is a little fresher than you would generally be here, right? Hugo on the left side of your screen trying to get out of that pocket section. And Adrian back up at the top of this boulder. Really running down the clock here, which is not great for having to kind of go slower on this finish to see if she can make it happen. Just a little too rushed with the time, but really great attempts there from Adrian Akiko Clark. She's currently in the #1 spot for the women, with both Melina Costanza and Nikaya Sanders having to climb after her. So we'll have to see what happens. Here's another look at her best attempt on this boulder. Yeah, having that time to really adjust there, I think, is helpful. She really just got, I think she got nervous about her foot flying out right so aggressively that she kind of brought that hand in, when I think if she bared down a little more, she might have been able to make it happen.
It looked like she was anticipating her right foot to hit that sidewall a touch earlier than it actually did. And so by the time her foot hit, her left hand was already coming into match, and she wasn't very stable.
Exactly. So this will be Helen Gillette's last boulder of the round. She's currently sitting in 5th place at the moment, but definitely capable of getting a boulder like this done. So we'll have to see what she does here.
Yeah, I know Helen's been spending a bunch of time in Bishop lately, so she might just love that little bit of crimp
She
at the top.
probably will. Joshua Gerhardt quickly on a men's #4, his last boulder of the round as well, having a stellar first boulder final. Ooh, oh my gosh, that is so difficult. Ouch. That was impressive.
Wow.
Yeah, you really have to kind of make that campus over one fluid motion. If you get stuck like that, oh my gosh, I mean, you're in a 1-arm lock-off on a 2-finger pocket. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Things that I definitely cannot do.
Yeah, if
you probably can.
I don't know if I could. Pockets tend to be my nemesis in comp climbing, but
Helen Gillette getting back on women's number 4, trying to figure it out. Kind of trying to control that lower section a bit. I do think the upper section is where she'll really shine sometimes. She's not, I think she's good at coordination, but I feel like she's a bit better at like grabbing holds and like bearing down. So she just kind of needs to figure out which way the coordination is going to work best for her on this boulder specifically.
I agree, yeah.
And again, you see it's still like a somewhat controlled version of coordination, right?
But that time it looked like she was more ready to kick the foot.
Exactly.
She got a little bit higher in the shoulders. It all looked great.
Wow. And honestly, I feel like going that way was a little more difficult. But again, look at how comfortable she is on that crimp. Let's see if she can finish this off. Oh, through the foot nicely, though. Joshua Gerhardt getting into this campus. Let's see if he can get, it looks like he just got knocked off by the block hold a little bit.
Yeah. That would be a crazy method to match in, face out to the crowd, and then Lachey across.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
It's been so tricky with his brother Luke climbing as well. Like, I am always like, wait, which one is going right now? And they look a lot alike.
Yeah, they look a lot alike. They're super close in age.
I know. And it was funny because in semifinals, just as I can't remember if it was Josh or Luke finishing first, but I think it was Josh actually. But as he finished Boulder 4, then Luke started on Boulder 1. Yeah. And we were joking how it's like a senior graduating and the freshman coming in.
Nice.
It was funny.
Yeah, they have a super cool dynamic. I think it's pretty rare in sports to have a sibling that close in age and to both be competing at such a high level. I feel like it's really cool. They push each other a lot. Of course, they're going to be competitive with each other, but they have a great relationship.
It is cool. Let's see if Helen can figure this.
Oh, Helen.
And we're going to get our first top of women's number 4.
Let's go.
Helen did not top number 3, so that's big for her as both Melina Costanza, Adrian Clark, and Nikaya Sanders already had 3 boulders top, so that's huge for her.
Oh, nice, Josh. Come on, bud.
Ooh, that's so hard with that hold blocking. Definitely needs to commit to a campus.
Here we go.
Let's see if he can do it. And as we saw Vale earlier, like it's a tricky swing to set up into that. I don't think it's that easy to find.
I agree. I feel like everyone who gets there, they kind of know what they have to do, but this is a move that I haven't really seen before, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same, and so they don't quite know how to find the right timing to like kip the hips in, get a good match, and be able to still explode out of that position over.
I totally agree. Another look at Helen Gillette on women's number 2. That wasn't her send, but she did, or women's number 4. She did send. Also another look at Joshua Gerhardt on men's number 4. Both climbers done with the competition now. Joshua Gerhardt is now in provisional first, and here's that top with Helen Gillette. Really nicely controlling that finish hold. Impressive climbing there from her. And I believe she is, to double check. Let's see. She is currently in second place with Adrian Akiko Clark above her. And still Nikaya Sanders and Melina Costanza to attempt the 4th boulder. So have to see what happens. And Nikaya Sanders will start women's number 4 after brushing. And Adam Shahar is on men's number 4. What do you think? I think he'll like this.
Yeah, I think he will too.
He's going to love those crimps. I think he'll be fine on the pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, Adam has maybe some of the most insane hand strength and hand power of anyone I've ever met.
4th ascent of the process, right?
I think so, yep.
Very difficult, very crimpy. V17?
V16, I think.
V16.
Yeah, but not, a super hard one that, not many people have done. Very impressive.
Very impressive, yeah. Nikaya Sanders trying to figure out how she wants to approach that middle part of the, oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Just like hanging around on that pocket. It's funny since we're doing the men and women at the same time. It's kind of crowded over here in that kiss and cry.
Yeah. Adam's holding his fingers.
I
hope he
he's
didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope he didn't hurt himself on that pocket.
He is 5'10", but he has an even wingspan, so that move might feel pretty far for him. It honestly could be a good idea to go feet first, kind of like we saw Xander do earlier. Nikaya figuring out a method that works for her to get through that middle section of the boulder. You know, I could see her liking this last move as well because her shoulders are so strong and have so much mobility. Yeah. And this is a very shouldery finish move. And she does have so much body control as well. You do see her right shoulder is heavily taped though. Little pop off there of the crimp, but plenty of time. 2 minutes and 8 seconds left on the clock. Yeah, she's so good at those shouldery moves. It's wild. While these athletes are resting, I'd like to take a moment to thank USA Climbing's national partners, the North Face, YETI, Intermountain Health, Kodiak, EP, and True Blue for making these events possible. And Adam Shahar back on men's number 4. See how he changes his method if he does at all. Oh, there we go. Easy.
Come on, Adam.
Oh. Well, at least, I mean, the way he did that, I feel like his finger can't hurt that bad.
Yeah, I hope so as well.
It is hard to know sometimes with adrenaline and whatnot.
I know. And it's hard to, like, yeah, he's on his last boulder. Obviously, he wants to do and, like, try the best that he can. Mm-hmm. So even if there is a little something going on, it's hard to just step away.
And there's a lot on the line here, right? You're trying to make the national team, and that's not just from this competition, but also from YETI Nationals, those scores combined. So I know he did well at Nationals, but was a little disappointed with that result. So being in 7th place and just missing out on the finals. So he'll definitely want to try to get on that podium here tonight. Yeah. Because he, you know, was doing well in those World Cups this last season.
Sure,
so to get a chance at those again would be really great for him to gain more experience.
He made 2 semis in a row.
Yep, it was 7th, right?
Yeah,
at the,
7th
in Prague. Yeah.
Yep.
So just out of finals, which is no easy feat.
Yeah, no easy feat at all.
I feel like Nikaya is kind of rushing. Oh, it's so hard when you drop the top, especially. It's hard not to rush things.
Yeah.
I will say for Adam, you know, it's been pretty clear that we haven't really had a top on that boulder, so not as hard to like leave it.
Yep.
But we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back with some more action.
You don't get a fire in your belly with a boring breakfast. You gotta light that sucker up with the good stuff. Kodiak stuff. Whole grains and a whole lot of protein stuff. Eating hearty sets the table for epic days ahead. Dig in and you'll see. It's wild what you and a real Kodiak breakfast can do. Proud sponsor of USA Climbing.
Welcome back to USA Climbing's 2025 National Team Trials presented by YETI. I'm Megan Martin, joined by Charlie Barron in the booth. If you didn't catch him climbing earlier in the semifinal round, you can go back and watch that on Outside TV, where USA Climbing streaming is. And we've been having a really exciting finals round.
Yeah,
We
it's
are
been a super exciting finals round.
It's been wild. I feel like I haven't screamed this loud in a while. We are down to our final 2 climbers. It'll be Melina Costanza for the women and Ben Hanna for the men. So we're going to take a quick look at the men's leaderboard currently. Joshua Gerhardt in first, Vale Everett in second, Xander Waller in third, Hugo Hoyer in fourth, Adam Shahar in fifth, Ben Hanna in sixth, still to climb, Ethan Freudenheim in seventh, and Isaac Leff in eighth. And wow, Joshua having a stellar competition, his first time in a final, and at the top of the leaderboard with one more climber to go. And now to look at the women's leaderboard, Adrian Akiko Clark in first currently, Micaiah Sanders in second, Helen Gillette in third, Melina Costanza in fourth, still to climb, Ella Fisher in fifth, Kyra Condi in sixth, Annalise Van Hong in seventh, and Maya Madere in eighth. So yeah, for Joshua, like, to be in that position with his first final is absolutely insane. That's so exciting.
So sick. I'm psyched for Josh right now.
I feel like I think that was the same for Vale in at Nationals. I think that was his first final, and then he ended up in
winning.
first place.
Yeah.
And look at that consistency from October at Nationals to team trials here in March. Like, he's in second place right now, is likely to get a podium spot barring any appeals. So that's really good consistency.
And a phenomenal lead climber, too.
Oh,
I think he made double finals.
In both of them.
Yeah, both events.
100%. Yeah,
super
definitely
impressive.
one to watch for sure. And one who, like, it'll be really cool with those results, likely to make the team to possibly get some World Cup starts. But we are watching Melina Costanza quickly make number 4 for the women. Another easy boulder for her. She has flashed the first 2 boulders and third try for that number 3 boulder, so we'll see if she can get a flash here. Oh man, gosh. So really the slab climb, the only boulder that gave her any trouble. With that, Melina Costanza moves up to the first place spot on the leaderboard, so barring any appeals, she will be the team trials boulder champion. She did top the route in lead, but wasn't the champion. She was third, so she'll be happy to walk away with that first place if she can, as Ben Hanna works his way through men's number 4. Smart little match there, trying to get a little more momentum. Oof. So close to getting to the 10. Spot those googly eyes.
Yeah, Ben is super strong on pockets. I know he's been sport climbing outside quite a lot lately, and yeah, I feel like he's got a good chance at getting this 10 zone, and if he does, he's going to come away with the dub. So I'm definitely cheering for my boy right now.
Love it. And of course, he doesn't necessarily know that, though I will say I think it's easier to kind of figure out what the numbers look like with this scoring system with the points versus, tops and
I think so
zones
too.
and whatever. So he might have a good idea that if he can get to the 10, that he would be in that number 1 spot. So we'll have to see what happens. And what's really cool about this is, Ben Hanna has been doing these competitions in the Elite Series for many, many years now. I believe his first Nationals was 2016 or 2015, so almost 10 years, or 10 years, depending on exactly when it started. And he's never won one of these championship events. He's been second, he's been third, so if he can walk away with a win here, I feel like that's huge for him.
I agree.
Looking pretty casual going into the pocket, just needs to find the right momentum. That was way more smooth this time. Plenty of time left to make something happen, though.
This method looks like it will work, but it seems so much harder than if he just tried to swing through.
I totally agree. I feel like Xander looks so serious as he's currently in third on that podium bubble, basically, is where he's at right now.
Yeah, I feel like Ben almost feels too good on the pocket. He doesn't want to
let go,
Yeah,
right?
he doesn't want to let go and
really
move
good
through it.
Yeah, very good point there. I think a good idea is to take some resting time here. It is nice because, he really does just need to get to the 10, and it's not really that many moves, so even if it doesn't work out on this attempt, I think he'd have time. Yeah, it's not always the case. See if he can make something happen here.
Oh!
And
Let's
there he
go,
goes.
Benny.
Bumping himself into first place. Let's see if he can keep it going. Beautifully done by Ben Hanna, but you know, I think he'll try again because he will always put everything out there on the floor. That's why we love to watch Ben Hanna climb, and he's gonna go for it. But barring any appeals, he has just won team trials in the boulder discipline, his first championship win. Super exciting.
So sick.
Oh. Great climbing
Let's
from
go.
Ben Hanna. Wow, this is one of the most exciting finals I have watched in a long time.
Yeah, this was a great final. So fun.
I think I really like this staggered. Oh, and here he's just finding out from Al. Boulder 2025 Team Trials champion, Mr. Ben Hanna for the men, barring any appeals, of course.
Yes.
And for the women, Melina Costanza does it. And the athletes just congratulating each other. Also, Melina's first time winning a team trials, but she's won nationals before. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with your actual results.
The power of we is all for one. It's all for you. It's always there for you. It completes your circle. It says you've got a team even when you're out there alone. And with Intermountain Health in your circle, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
For me, motivation comes from the chance to go faster and faster. I find speed pretty addicting.
Out here. We play different. We don't play with whistles or referees. We play with adrenaline and euphoria. We play roughhouse with failure. We don't play games out here.
Presented by YETI. We just wrapped up all the climbing for the Boulder final for the men and women. Charlie, I gotta say, one of the more exciting final rounds I've seen in a long time.
I agree. It was fantastic to watch. I mean, yeah, Melina put on an absolute clinic. I'm so psyched for my boy Ben finally catching that dub. So, yeah, it was awesome to watch.
And
So
we're
fun.
told that the results are final, so no appeals. So Melina Costanza, the Boulder Team Trials champion, and Ben Hanna for the women, and Ben Hanna for the men, the Boulder Team Trials champion. Both first for both of them, actually, in this discipline, but Melina has won many nationals in this discipline, so not as big of a deal, whereas this is Ben's first championship win. So that is a look at the leaderboard. Ben Hanna in first, Joshua Gerhardt in second, Vale Everett in third, Xander Waller in fourth, Hugo Hoyer in fifth, Adam Shahar in sixth, Ethan Freudenheim in seventh, and Isaac Leff in eighth. First final for Joshua Gerhardt, walking away with the silver. Super impressive, and some consistency on the podium there for Vale Everett. Super exciting to see. We're going to take a look at that women's leaderboard. Melina Costanza in first, Adriana Kiko in second, Nikaya Sanders in third, Helen Gillette in fourth, Ella Fisher in fifth, Kyra Condi in sixth, Annalise Van Hong in seventh, and Maya Madeira in eighth. Nikaya Sanders was fourth in the last two competitions, so progressing up to third. She built some consistency in that fourth place
Yeah, and she gets
position.
a spot on the podium now.
Exactly, so that's really exciting for her as well, and we're going to cut to that flower ceremony soon. But in the meantime, I would like to reflect on some of my favorite moments. What about you?
Sure, let's do it.
I'm definitely going to say seeing that top of men's number 3 from Hugo Hoyer, I think was super exciting.
Yeah, so impressive. Also, Ben getting the zone on that boulder is
At the
honestly
last
at the
minute?
last second is what won him the competition. So
I agree. And we are going to go to that flower ceremony for these athletes, so we're going to throw it down to Al for that. Bringing up Nikaya Sanders. Adrian Akiko Clark. And Melina Costanza in first for the women. And those are your 2025 National Team Trials Boulder champions. Melina Costanza in first. Adriana Kiko Clark in second. And Nikaya Sanders in third. And now we will bring out the men. In third place, Vale Everett. Just finding the right spot on the floor. And in second place, we have Joshua Gerhardt.
And first, a real beach every time. Make some noise for Ben Hanna.
And in first place, Ben Hanna with his first championship win. Been on this circuit for about 10 years, so that is incredible to have it happen. You know, he's psyched.
oh yeah.
So excited for these guys. Really great climbing today. Lots of fight. Great week of climbing, honestly. There's so much fight. We're going to go back to a quick commercial break, and then we're going to have those interviews for the winners when we come back.
You don't get a fire in your belly with a boring breakfast. You gotta light that sucker up with the good stuff. Kodiak stuff. Whole grains and a whole lot of protein stuff. Eating hearty sets the table for epic days ahead. Dig in and you'll see. It's wild what you and a real Kodiak breakfast can do. Proud sponsor of USA Climbing.
The power of we is all for one. It's all for you. It's always there for you. It completes your circle. It says you've got a team even when you're out there alone. And with Intermountain Health in your circle, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
For me, motivation comes from the chance to go faster and faster. I find speed pretty addicting.
Out here. We play different. We don't play with whistles or referees. We play with adrenaline and euphoria. We play roughhouse with failure. We don't play games out here.
Welcome back to USA Climbing's 2025 National Team Trials presented by YETI. I'm Megan Martin here with Charlie Barron. Thanks for joining me during this final. We're getting ready for that winner interview, but first we did find out who is on those national teams for Boulder. Melina Costanza and Adriana Kiko Clark will be joining pre-selected athletes Brooke Rabitou, Natalia Grossman, and Annie Sanders for the Boulder women's team. And Ben Hanna, Vale Everett, Xander Waller will all be joining pre-selected athletes Colin Duffy and Jesse Grouper for the men's Boulder team. So really excited to see those athletes in action on the World Cup circuit coming this spring, summer. And we're going to go to Al with those interviews in a moment. And here we go to Al.
All right, it's time. I'm here with our victor, gold medalist and champion, Melina Costanza. First of all, great job. How does it feel to stand on top of the podium again?
It feels really good. I don't know about again. I was not on top of the podium for lead, but it feels really good. It was a super fun round. I think that the setters did a great job all comp, and I'm really appreciative.
I just meant in your life, the podium, you're no stranger to it. Not to confuse. Let's talk about the boulders a little bit. Do you have a favorite boulder from the rounds? You really, you climbed quite well. You tend to do that, but quite strong tonight. Favorite boulders?
My favorite boulder was the slab climb. I've been working really hard on slab. It was one of my weaknesses before, and I think it's become one of my strengths, which is really cool. I love to work on my weaknesses, and I think that, I'm proud of the growth that I have in that area.
Well, that's awesome to hear. If you shore up your weaknesses, the rest of the competitors are, I think, going to be in trouble. And speaking of, you're on the national team. That's a spoiler. Melina's on the national team. Well done. You're going, the World Cup scene. Are you trying to go out there and win some medals in the World Cup? I think so. What do you have to say?
I would love to do that. We will see what happens, but I'm excited to represent my country.
All right, well, best of luck to you, Melina Costanza, one more time. And I'll cut you loose. All right, see you later. Now we're gonna bring straight up our men's victor, Ben Hanna. Come join me. Let's hear it for Ben Hanna one time. Ben Hanna, how does it feel? You crushed.
Completely surreal. Yeah, I've been doing this for 15 years. And long time.
Boulder 4, what was that like? What's going through your mind? It's a lot on your fingers, the pressure, how intense is that moment? Because it seems intense.
I really thought I had to top it to win, and I really wanted to top it. And so, there was a lot of pressure going on, and knowing that I just needed zone was,
Well, what an amazing discovery to find out that you only needed zone, and that was enough to take the day. I'll give you the news as well. National team is in your pocket. You got it. You're on the national team. So what can we expect in the future from Ben Hanna? What you got?
A few outside prodigies, and then lots of World Cups.
Nice and simple. Hey, Ben, thanks for joining again. Go enjoy that victory, and we'll kick it back to Megan in the booth.
Wow, so exciting for both Ben Hanna and Melina Costanza. Love to hear Ben's excitement about the World Cups and, of course, some outdoor projects. I know he's been doing some great projects outside and having some success, which is great. And I also loved hearing Melina talk about, being able to be challenged by the slab boulder and how she's been working on slab a lot and loves to work on her weaknesses. And being able to prevail on that boulder was great for her. So can't wait to see both of them on the World Cup circuit this spring and summer. And congratulations to both Ben Hanna and Melina Costanza again. Charlie Barron, thank you so much for joining me in the booth.
Of course,
you
thanks
were
for having
a pleasure. Come back anytime. But of course, I also want to see you out there. And of course, we want to thank again our national partners, the North Face, YETI, Intermountain Health, Kodiak, EP, and True Blue for making this event possible and just such a great time. I'm Megan Martin. Can't wait to see you next time, and thanks again for watching. Bye, everybody.
Fingers on fire, gripping tight to the stone. Hearts are pounding like a metronome. Lines in chalk, maps to the top. Never gonna quit, never gonna stop. Reach for the hole, feel the rush in your chest. Push to the edge, prove you're the best. Austin's alive under blazing skies. Boulder in finals, no compromise. Every V10 move a test of will. The crowd goes wild as they watch the thrill. Mesa Rims rise and take the climb. This is the moment, it's your time. V10, masters on the wall tonight. Chasing the skyline, under neon lights. No fear, no limits, no second guess. It's all or nothing, give your personal best. Reach for the hold, feel the rush in your chest. Push to the edge, prove you're the best. Austin's alive under blazing skies. Bouldering finals, no compromise. Grip fails, pressure builds you, fight to restore. Sweaty palms and a call for more. Are you the one